I saw many pregnant women in Argentina, and they would wear midriffs. And so you would see a naked belly of a woman who was 7, 8 months pregnant. And
how good can that look?
Well, to them it looks good, but to us it looks weird. But
yeah,
you know,
it's their culture.
It's their culture. That's what they find attractive, and who are we to question?
Right.
Well, and it was interesting to see that both the men and the women thought that, viewed pregnancy as a beautiful thing. And belly button and all. And that they accepted that's how it is, and I'm going to show it because it's a beautiful thing. I learned in Peru, in particular, I seem to recall, that when they greet you, they kiss you on each cheek. And that's a greeting that I'm not used to. And so, we're used to shaking hands or, my family giving hugs to people we know, where when we were being introduced to people in Peru, they would kiss both cheeks. And the same with Argentina. And that, it's just not something I was used to. And it took me a little while to become comfortable with that.
How long did it take you to get comfortable with that?
Although it was more like the people trying to kiss me getting comfortable with that. I remember once we were in China and this lady wanted to show Cindie where the bathhouse was. Well, she just grabbed her hand and held it all the way to the bathhouse. And it's really a way of saying we're friends, we know each other.
Yeah, yeah, but it's certainly out of my comfort zone. I was like, okay, this is what they do here. It's okay.
Sometimes it was more than we're used to seeing, and then sometimes we had to tone down any kind of affection we would show towards each other.
Well, especially for men, because the men are very affectionate in Argentina. They give each other hugs even if they really don't know each other. And, they hug each other twice and then 2 kisses on the cheek. And in the States, men shake each other's hands. Think about it. So here,
good firm handshake.
Yeah, and here's Tim, and here's these foreign men wanting to hug him. It was definitely out of his comfort zone.
And in Asia, they don't shake hands.
Yeah.
So you just sort of greet each other, but they don't like to touch one another as much. So there's very little skin-to-skin contact.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. And I do remember one time in Argentina, it was pretty funny. We did get introduced to a family, and there were some young girls. I think she was 9 or 10 years old, and everybody was getting the kiss on the cheek going on down the line. And here's Tim going on down the line, and this little 8-year-old was just looking up at Tim, just scared to death that she's going to have to give him a kiss. And Tim just kind of nodded to her, and the relief on her face was just because she was scared, she was nervous, she didn't know what to do, and Tim was just a big guy and frightened her, and so
Tim the Dinosaur. She probably hadn't kissed a reptile before.
So Tim just kind of gave her a nod and let her go, and the relief was, she was just so relieved. I remember that. It was pretty funny.
We went to an immersion school in Mexico. In the second year when we were in South America, we can speak a fair amount of Spanish at this point, because you do learn quickly when you're in the country. And it's more about our close interactions with people. We're less learning about the language and more learning about the people. So it's a little deeper immersion into the culture.
So would you say that your first trip out on your bikes, that was a lot harder? On your brain anyway?
I think so. There was a lot of changes going on. Tim didn't just walk up to me and say, hey, do you want to quit your job and go on a trip around the world for 7 years? And I said yes. It just didn't happen that way. It took Tim years.
So this was after you were married. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we were married about 4 years when we left on the trip. We're married 11 years. So most of the time that we've been married, we've been on the road. So we've learned a lot about each other. I wouldn't travel with anyone else.
We say it was the hardest part of the trip was leaving our front door. After that, after getting everything together and changing our lives completely and selling almost everything we own, and leaving that first day was, to me, the hardest thing we'd done. After that, it's just ride, camp, eat, ride, camp, eat. After that, it seems easy.
Well, you said that you rode 4 to 6 hours a day. How many miles is that? And how many meals is that, by the way? What's it take to keep going that long?
It takes quite a bit of food. You'd be amazed. the number of miles, 4 to 6 hours, can be anywhere from 40 to 70 miles. In the Andes, it was less. It might have been 25 miles. I remember one particular day we rode for 5 hours and got 25 miles because of the terrain. It was uphill the entire way. Where in other parts of Mexico, where it was a little flatter, all day meant over 60 miles. So it just depends on the terrain, it depends on the wind, it depends on how we feel. It also depends on what's out there. I mean, sometimes we would be curious and find something that was very interesting to go investigate and only ride for 2 hours because we said, oh, let's check this out. So,
and then you could just pitch your tent out and see whatever it was and spend a day there, or
yeah, a day.
We play it by ear. If we like a place, we'll stay a day, we'll stay a week. If we don't, not so much that we don't like a place, but there's nothing to keep us there, we just go on to the next place.
What was one of the greatest things you saw?
Just, it's kind of funny, but just biking along, I remember we were in China, and we were going through a really rural village, and we had no idea we were going to come up to this, but the village was actually built into the side of the wall of the dirt. So they had dug their homes into the earth. So everywhere the houses were just doorways.
Really?
Yes.
This sounds like something out of a book about like hidden kingdoms, or like the gnomes and the elves.
Yeah,
it was exactly like that. It was hundreds of years old with little stone driveways, or little roads up to the base of the houses.
In Costa Rica, we went to a bullfight, but this is a bullfight where the bull wins. And what they did, and we just happened upon this, and they were having a festival in this town, Liberia, so we stayed for an entire week. And instead of the typical Mexican bullfight, what they did was they put anybody who wanted to could go into the bull ring. And then they got this bull really mad, and then they let him go. And then he'd come out and they would taunt the bull, and the goal was to get the bull to almost kill you. And if the bull almost killed you, you were very manly. And if the bull killed you, you weren't so lucky, and if the bull paid no attention to you, you were a wimp.
It was pretty gruesome. I mean, it made my stomach queasy watching, because the bull actually, as the day went on, the men drank more and more and would be slower and slower, and the bull seemed to be faster and faster, and he did pummels. The different bulls would definitely just ground one guy right into the ground, threw another guy against the wall, and he fell like a rag doll. And this is real.
Most of them just getting skinned up and hurt a little bit.
Yeah,
but it's the only bullfight I went to where the bulls expected to win.
Boy, they weren't like that when I've seen them. In fact, they were nasty to watch.
Yeah, I've been to traditional Spanish bullfights, and that's a whole different thing. This was odd, and we were told it was going to be weird. And we went there, and it was a strange thing to see this bull beat up everybody. And then as soon as the bull's tired, they'd take him away, and they'd bring a new bull that was fresh and ready to go.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.